What's up, Erff? This is Rocky. Welcome to another episode of Time of My Lifetime. Just before we get things started, just wanted to say a couple of things to everyone here at the top of the podcast. As you will undoubtedly figure out very, very soon into the episode, Jules unfortunately could not be with us this time around. She is out in California. Dreaming about who we used to be, I guess, or something. And we just wanted to send our love out to her, and we missed her. And hopefully she'll be with us next time. Also, because I always forget, just wanted to mention that we are on all sorts of social medias. On Twitter, we are at Time Lifetime. We've got a Tumblr, timeofmylifetime.tumblr.com, where we post GIFs and jokes and all sorts of fun stuff, so you should check that out. And also, please subscribe and like our YouTube channel. We have so much fun making this, and we hope you guys have as much fun listening to it. And we'd love to hear your feedback. So please subscribe. And finally, as many of you probably already know, Dennis, my partner, and I, a couple of weeks ago, our little baby Leo, our little kitty, he passed away, and we had him for a very, very long time, and he was like a child to us, as all of you out there who are pet mommies and daddies know. It sucks. So I just wanted to dedicate this episode to Leo. And also, at the end of the episode, Jordan, before we started rolling, told a very, very cute story about how he and his girlfriend Ashley went and visited a cat cafe in DC. So I thought that was a really cute way to end the episode. So if you guys feel so inclined, it's after the outro music, so stick around. And also, there are tons and tons of kitties and puppies out there who need homes. So would really encourage you to maybe go out there and consider adopting one of these cute little guys, because especially with winter coming up, they all really need homes. And if you're not in a position to do that, maybe consider adopting to your making a contribution to your local shelter, so that the folks who are in a position to adopt can do so. So that's it, and thank you guys so much for listening, and we will see you next time. All right, later. Bye.
Well, another day is gone and another right is wrong, and the words of the story have been told. And if I am to sleep, well, my secrets I must keep them buried in the basement below. And distractions have been made, and all the bricks are laid so that the smell doesn't come through the floor. And as I look in her eyes, I can't help but sympathize, but you won't be seeing him no more.
Welcome to Time of My Lifetime, the Lifetime movie podcast where we watch old Lifetime movies from the 90s and make fun of them and discuss them, and we think you should too. I'm Jordan, and I'm with my buddy Rocky.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, Rocky.
Woo!
Oh, boy. I actually, before we started recording, I actually had forgotten the name of the movie we watched, and it was 2 days ago.
Well, it's Buried Secrets. From 1996. It's easy to remember, actually, because when she's digging in the garden and then Tim Matheson comes up and says, "Don't dig over there, there are buried secrets over there."
So funny you say that, that because he reminded me of, I don't know how much you watch South Park, but there's a South Park character who sounds exactly like that. He's just like, don't go out into the haunted forest. It's just like
he committed to that accent. Like, wow. It's like, I just feel like the whole town of White Cliffs, Maine needs to like have like a town hall meeting so they can all like settle on an accent, because they all just like, it just came and went, and
he was the only one with an accent. Nobody else had one.
the realtor, like hers would go in and out. Like occasionally there'd be like a ka or a pack or whatever.
Yeah.
Like she'd pepper it in, and like the mom would do it too, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. Have you ever, I don't know how to describe this necessarily. I'd like to, I think it's always good when we do this to like give like a brief synopsis, at least so anyone who hasn't seen it knows what it's about, but I don't even really know what to say.
Well, I think we can say that this falls into the genre of Lifetime movie where it sort of veers off into the realm of the sci-fi supernatural, which I always think is a really weird mashup, like Supernatural and Lifetime. It never quite works. It's never really very scary or interesting. It's always just really fucking weird.
I agree with you to most of what you said. In the past several years that we've been watching Lifetime movies, even before we started recording this podcast, I can only remember one other movie that we watched that had like a supernatural theme, and you know which one it is.
Yes, I do. But I've seen like, and stay tuned, because we are doing that movie. We're doing that movie because
we're going to become the only Lifetime movie podcast that focuses exclusively on ghost movies on Lifetime.
But I feel like ghost Lifetime movies is like a subgenre of which there are many. There's that one with Julie Delpy.
I don't think I know that one. I don't know.
They're all the same. It's like they buy a house in the woods in a small town, and some young girl was killed many years before and is trying to, like, one of the women who have bought the house, like in the present day, is sensitive to this ghost and like must track down the ghost killer.
Now you're talking about, of course, Tiffani-Amber Thiessen in the role of Annalise.
Annalise. In this particular movie, that woman is played by Tiffani-Amber Thiessen, and
looking good.
She did look good. I have to give it up to her. Like, even though the fashions were very 90s, like she was wearing like all Jane Mancini originals and just white Keds and just no. But, like, she looked banging, and her body looked really good, and her hair was beautiful.
Was she in Beverly Hills 90210 in 1996?
I think
1996.
So. Yeah, I think so. So
you think that she filmed this, like, as that was also, while she was still in that?
Well, it's interesting, like, in the opening credits, she also produced it. Did you see that?
I saw that.
So, like, Tiffani-Amber Thiessen doing it for herself. Go, girl.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, acting, producing.
Make that money.
I think she did the score as well. She was just like, I'm going to show people the multi-facets of Tiffani-Amber Thiessen.
Yeah, no, I mean, I actually think that, like, for sort of what she was asked to do, she did a good job. Like, the character of Annalise, I have so many questions about. So many.
Good. I want to dive into that.
Well,
definitely.
Should we sort of, like, take it from the beginning?
Yeah, again, if you want to do, like, a 60-second summary, I'm not even sure I can... I don't want to ruin the ending. The glorious ending.
I think you already know who my favorite character is.
Oh, I don't.
From the ending.
Oh, I wasn't thinking of that as a character.
Well, you should.
Yes, that's
but
good.
Anyway,
I already know who my favorite characters too.
I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to spoil the ending. But
No.
all right, 60-second synopsis. So Tiffani-Amber Thiessen and her mom come back to the mom's hometown after the dad dies, rent this old house from Tim Matheson, who used to go to high school with the mom. And his wife died mysteriously in the house that they're renting, or she was pushed off the cliffs outside of the house. And
Well, we don't know that, right? I don't know.
well, we know that at the beginning.
Whatever. Yeah, sure, whatever.
She died. They don't really know what happened, and then his daughter mysteriously disappeared, and the house has been abandoned ever since then. So Tiffani-Amber Thiessen and her mom move in. All these weird happenings start happening, and Tiffani-Amber Thiessen's hearing voices, and she's seeing weird shit and whatever. It turns out it's the ghost of the daughter. She's dead. She needs Tiffani-Amber Thiessen to get her dad to come back to the house so they can figure out who murdered the mom, and then she can be set free from the house. And then there's all sorts of shenanigans and other characters, and in the end,
there were many shenanigans.
There's so many ghostly shenanigans and apparitions and bullshit. And also, I have things to say about the character of Mary, but
oh, absolutely,
Mary the ghost,
Ghost Mary, yeah,
yes, she was
a handful.
And
in the end, they solve the mystery of who killed the mother and who killed the daughter.
Yes,
and the end.
And
right?
the end, and it ends happily for Tiffani-Amber Thiessen, and
right. And again, not to spoil anything, but again, something truly glorious. One of my favorite Lifetime moments ever, honestly, was at the end. Totally unexpected for me.
I didn't see it coming at all. I didn't see it coming at all. But as soon as like Lily Vanderwoodson is the villain, Kelly Rutherford, she was. Did you ever watch Melrose Place?
No, was she from Melrose Place?
She was on Melrose. She was Megan on Melrose Place. The hooker
she
with
looks
the
kind of familiar to me, but I wasn't sure if I knew her from something.
Yeah, and then she was Serena's mom on Gossip Girl, Lily Vanderwoodson.
Yeah, definitely not.
As soon as she pulled up to the house and was like, "Oh, everything's back to normal." It was revealed, she's the bad guy. Then I was like, wait a second. And I feel like we both heard that neigh at the same time, me and Lily, and like, and it was just like, oh my fucking God.
Yeah. The end of the movie, seriously, after Say Hello to Linda and that poor actress falling on her face on that tray in Praying Mantis, after that, the end of this movie is really, really up there for me. Nothing will ever beat Say Hello to Linda.
No, that was amazing.
And if you don't know what we're talking about, if you're listening to this, please watch Praying Mantis, the greatest 5 seconds of TV.
Or go to our Tumblr because we have a GIF of it.
Yeah, we did a GIF of it.
Yeah.
You really need it really loses something without the sound, though, right?
No, it really doesn't. I still can watch that GIF for 15 minutes and
it's pretty funny.
Well, when her forehead bounces back off the rim of the tray.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Anyway, but these people don't know what we're talking about. So I guess let's start with the beginning of the movie. So we open on a sign for White Cliffs, Maine, which is where our story takes place. This picturesque, young, small town, and we open with 3 women rolling up to this house, and we're not really told what their relationship is for a good 5 minutes. I didn't quite understand what was going on. So we've got the body realtor, and
I didn't take a lot of notes, but one of the notes I took was about the realtor. The other thing too, when we started this movie, I didn't know it was a supernatural ghost movie. I'd never seen this one. This one wasn't on my radar. I just saw Tiffani-Amber Thiessen was in it, and I was like, "Oh, this sounds good." The house just within the movie starts, it just looks haunted from the outside.
Yeah,
You're like, it's beautiful.
No, that house, like, from the outside, it's a shithole. It's a
Yeah, right?
fucking shithole. And, like, if my realtor, like, brought me up to this house and was like, it's a real fixer-upper, I'd be like, fuck you. Like,
Yeah.
this is not, no. Who the
And
fuck do you think I am?
Don't they mention that it, like, that was the other thing, too, when the movie started, I didn't realize they were renting. I thought they were trying to purchase it.
I thought they were trying to buy it, too.
Because they talk about it being like a fixer-upper or something. Yes. You're just like, oh, if the house is for rent, I'm not going to fix it up for shit. That's not my job.
Why do I want to rent a fixer-upper? And then it's like they go inside, and this was another thing that I didn't understand. Like, it's, you know, obviously it's like still furnished because like Tim Matheson just broke out immediately, like after his wife and daughter were disappeared or were killed or whatever. And like, they're pulling sheets off of, like, the furniture and stuff. And, like, Tiffani-Amber Thiessen's like, oh, my God, look at all these antiques. Isn't this fantastic? And I'm like, this house was abandoned, like, 5 years ago. Like, maybe the furniture's a little out of style, but it's certainly not, they're certainly not antiques.
Right, they're like, this is from at least 1991.
Like, oh my God, how much do you think this is worth?
Yeah. The other thing, it was a very, not to call back to another movie, but it was, they walked in, they got no further than like 4 steps into that house before they were just like, we'll take it. And for me, it was a very like, lies he told moment where they're just like, do you care if there's bathrooms? Like, what does the kitchen look like?
Do you know how many bedrooms there are? Like, you haven't even gone upstairs. You haven't gone to the bath.
And again, this is when I thought that they were still trying to purchase the house, and it's just like, they walk right in, they're like, we'll take it. Like, Jesus.
So it's established that Tiffani-Amber Thiessen and the woman who's not the realtor are mother and daughter. And I just have a real big question mark when it comes to Tiffani-Amber Thiessen's character. And
starting at this point.
And namely, that is, what is her deal? So she's not a teenager. I guess, like, she's supposed to be like in her 20s, right?
Like, what's her general deal? Yeah, okay.
What's her general? So she's a woman in her 20s. Mm-hmm. She's living with her mother.
Moving to Maine.
She's moving to a different state with her mother after her father's death. She doesn't work. She doesn't go to school. There's no mention made of her, working or going to school.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's no mention of her, like, having just graduated and she's looking for something. She's finding her way. No, she's just there.
Yeah, what's
an adult woman with her mom, just living there, not doing anything.
Yeah,
talking about I'm gonna spruce up the garden. I'm gonna plant some new shit. If I were her mom, I'd be like, well, maybe the coffee shop is hiring, or
right, exactly.
Or I could,
what are you doing with your life?
I could talk to Edna and see if she needs anybody down at the yarn store or whatever.
Right. You're the lobster canning factory. Actually, there is a canning factory there.
Yes. Yes, there is.
You're right. It's funny you mentioned that because I didn't even think of that until you're right, though. She just is sort of like...
She's just there.
She's just there.
She's not...
Why would I...
She's not contributing anything. She's not paying half the rent. She's not...
She's not doing anything. Gardens.
She just gardens. She just gardens and fucks that gross dude. That's all she does.
Yeah,
and gets possessed by ghosts.
You're right.
She just causes problems. Is it that she have some sort of like undisclosed mental illness that was exacerbated by the ghost? Is that what we're supposed to...
About a third of the way through the movie, I was like, I would love it if it turns out that this isn't a supernatural ghost movie and that Tiffani-Amber Thiessen really is just crazy.
Yeah.
And like, this is all in her head. And like, the movie ends and it's just like her in a psych ward. And it's just like, it never happened. I'd be like, that would be a twist.
I mean, Yeah, it would make more sense than the actual
Yeah.
movie.
Did you ever see? You know what this reminded me of from the very beginning of the movie. So, like, they get to the house, and she goes outside, and she looks like it's like they're on a cliff in Maine. There's like a lighthouse there, and there's a
Mhm.
big cliff, and she looks down on the cliff, and like she gets visions of like this dead woman there. Did you
Like
ever see
like
Lady in
Carol
White?
King dashed against the rocks.
Yeah. Did you
Hmm
ever see Lady in White when you were a kid?
No, I no
1998's thriller Lady in White? No.
no. Who was in it?
I don't know, nobody.
Oh
But
no.
basically, I mean, I'm sure there's differences, but this movie reminded me so much of The Lady in White, which scared the shit out of me when I was 9, by the way. Because, like, in Lady in White, it's a ghost movie where somebody gets thrown off a cliff, and, like, it looked like it could have been shot at the same, like, location. So I was like, this is totally Lady in White. This is
Hmm.
so weird. Hmm.
Hmm.
Anyway,
Oh
no.
no. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Nope, nope. Well,
I'm
anyway,
unfamiliar.
so as soon as they move in, though, like Tori Spelling, Tiffany-Amber Thiessen starts having visions, like the second they get there, right?
Yeah, it's like, well, she goes over to the edge of the cliff for some reason and looks down and sees Carol King dashed against the rocks and or a woman who looks like Carol King. Like, I don't know who that actress was. It was
Yeah.
actually
Okay.
Carol King. But and then like she like sort of passes out and then like she's like exploring the house. And can we also talk about Mary's bedroom?
Oh, you mean how creepy her wallpaper was?
Right? It was just like disembodied faces, like a screaming demon angel thing.
Yeah.
Like
What was? It looked like. Did you know? There was a movie in the early '90s with Michael J. Fox, a ghost movie where like it reminded me
the
of the faces.
Frighteners.
What was it?
The Frighteners?
The Frighteners, yes, where it's just like people coming through like the walls. I
Yeah.
feel like
Yes.
that's like what she had drawn on her like brain.
Yes.
Just, like,
Exactly. And then like all of a sudden like she looks over and there's like an oil painting, like a portrait of like this gross, trashy looking dude. Like, I'm sorry, but Johnny is not attractive. Like,
okay.
I was actively repulsed by him. Like, the male romantic lead of this movie, he was so gross with his, like, he was short with his rat-like features, his, like, 14-year-old boy goatee, his, like, spiky frosted tips. Like, no. He looked like a garbage person.
He did look like a garbage person.
No, I don't mean like a person who picks up the garbage.
No, I
like,
know exactly
I mean
what you mean. Just
like a person who is made of garbage.
Yeah, right. He's literally made out of garbage. Yes.
And like she sees this oil painting of him, and she's like, intriguing.
Right.
Who's this? And
she starts having visions like the second they move into the house though.
Yeah.
First she's got visions and like
well, it's like she's sleeping in the bed and then Ghost Mary comes and gets in the bed with her.
yeah.
And then she starts having like the weird dreams and visions and hearing like this girl like saying her name or whatever. And like goes to her mom and was like, oh, I was having this weird dream. And her mom's like, you're crazy, shut up and get out.
Yeah. And at this point they start like her mother, I think particularly starts saying like, you're just seeing these things, you're not getting over the death of your father
because your dad's dead. You're hearing a teenage girl say your name around that.
Yeah, I don't know that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And like she even says like it's a girl's voice, it's not dad's. And like the mom's just like, ho
Right. Exactly.
Well, anyway. So I'm gonna go sell some houses because the mom's a realtor too. Like all the moms in Lifetime movies are realtors.
Oh yeah, they're all realtors.
They're all realtors.
Yeah. How many realtors do you need in that town with population like 150?
I can't imagine the rental market in White Cliffs is like anybody like every 5 years like somebody comes into White Cliff like wanting to like rent something, so they like show them the murder house, and
Right,
they're
exactly.
like,
You can
no, and then they leave.
right, and the market's not great because when not to go back to the beginning, but when they walk into that house originally, Tiffani-Amber Thiessen's mother is like, "How much?" And the realtor's like, 900, and mom like gives her like a sideways look, and she's like, the realtor's like, 750, like,
Which I don't understand. So I thought that they were buying, and
right, me
I
too,
thought she meant $900,000,
me as well.
and then just negotiated for her seller down to 750, and I was like, "Bitch, you are fired! You are fired!
That's one
How
of the notes
dare you!"
That's one of the notes I wrote. I'm like, you just knocked the price off $150,000 without talking to the owner?
I'm
Holy
sorry,
shit!
what? Like, how did you get that authority? Like,
Remind me not to hire this lady to do my negotiating. Jesus.
but then even still, it's like knocking like the rent down from 900 to 750 a month.
Yeah,
Like, no.
that's like 20%. You
That's
just took 20%
insane.
off the top, just like that. No.
Like, what is wrong with you?
Well, in this case, though, we know it is the murder house, potentially.
I mean, potentially, but they don't know that.
No, but that was another thing too. So the daughter, through the first like I don't know 20, 30 minutes of the movie, that the daughter who's the ghost, no one knows where she is. The father, Tim Matheson, and his new wife, the psychiatrist, are like
Damn,
they
yeah.
talk about how she ran away and like never came back, but we know that she's the ghost and she's dead.
Mhm.
But like they talk about how she was like they use the word crazy a lot. They're like, she was crazy, and like, right?
Yes.
They talk.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay. They talk about how she was like on pills and whatever, and like there's
So
rumors
I'm rolling my eyes because I'm just
Oh.
thinking about the movie.
Okay. And there's like rumors that the daughter, what's her name, Sarah?
Mary.
Jesus. Yeah, they talk about how like rumors are that Mary pushed the wife off the cliff and then ran away because she was crazy, and you're just like, what the fuck is going on in this movie?
And it's like she's 16 years old, so if she like ran away, she probably wouldn't have run that far.
Right, you're in White Cliff in Maine. Where are you going for
Like, did she have like a connect, like, in like the seedy underbelly of Whitecliff that like got her a new passport and social security card?
She's on a lobster boat, just just swimming north.
Like, whatever. Like, it's just so, but like the fact that like everyone in town was just like, okay, Tim Matheson, cool. I guess she must have just run away.
Okay, let me ask you legitimately, because at this point, when they introduced Tim Matheson, like, so they're at the house and they're like, new
yeah, Tim Matheson comes into the movie. The only one with a mean accent. I was turning kind of Irish.
A little bit.
Oh, I'm Tim Matheson. Welcome to Whitecliff.
So like he shows up, he's like, "Oh, don't you go doing any gardening in the backyard, right?"
Like that's such a weird that like he rolls up, he is their landlord, and like they're working in the garden or trying to spruce it up or whatever, and like he's all like, "Oh yeah, that's real great there, Laura." Like the mom's name is Laura, and he's the only one in the entire. Every time he addresses her, he calls her Laura.
He's also the only one using this ridiculous accent for the entirety of the
movie.
No,
but also the realtor. The realtor and the mom. Like every once in a while they slip into it and then they slip right back out of it. But Tim Matheson is committed. Like you can tell he hired like some like maniac like vocal coach, like he was committed. He was like, I am playing this part. He is a cannery owner in a small Maine town. I have to have the accent. So he comes up, he's like, "Oh, girls, oh, look at you, replanting that garden. Mary would have loved that. But don't go planting over there. It's Irish again.
It's fine.
Don't go planting over there. There's secrets buried over in under that there bush.
I mean, he doesn't say that necessarily, but I mean, I for a while in the movie, I suspected, I was like, oh well, this guy obviously like killed everybody, right?
I was back and forth. Like at first, like when he said that, when he was like, oh yeah, totally, like replant the garden. That sounds great, but don't go over there under any circumstances. Like I was like, oh okay, well he certainly knows what happened to her.
Certainly knows something.
Yeah. And then like as soon as like Danielle, the new wife, was like, oh, she needs to be committed like for like forever for the rest of her life and needs to take these crazy pills. I was like, oh, okay, so she fucking did it.
Yeah, that was when you knew that it was her.
Yeah.
So like I don't want, like, for me, like I don't have a whole lot of scene by scene things necessarily, because the first third of the movie is basically Tiffani-Amber Thiessen just like hearing things, and then like I would say the first act ends with her actually like encountering the ghost of Mary.
Well, yeah, basically, and then like Mary like possessing her.
Yeah.
But also,
we should introduce Johnny, right? Because in the first act, she also meets Johnny. Like, she has these visions.
So Johnny's the dude in the oil painting, who was Mary's boyfriend.
I wrote this down. So, like, she knows that there's this character that she has to find out who it is. So she goes into town with her mother, and they go to the gas station, and it's like Johnny's gas station. Did you write down what she said to him?
No, I memorized it.
Oh, good. Because this movie is about the straight, and we'll get to that in Act 2, I believe. Because in Act 1, she says something to Johnny that I'm just like, is this about to turn into hardcore porn? Like,
and so this is the whole thing with like Tiffani-Amber Thiessen's character, where again I'm like, what is her deal? Because like she's introduced to us, like she doesn't really have much. There isn't really much to her character at all. It's like she's shy, she's bookish. Her father recently passed away, and that's about it. She lives with her mom and doesn't do anything. That's about it. That's all. That's about all we get before the haunting happens. Mm-hmm. And then when she's possessed by Mary, because Mary is very sexual and free and body, and she's a spitfire and all of these things, like then that sort of comes out in her, and her mom's like, oh, like you weren't shy around him, and she was like, I guess not. But like it's really like unclear like when she's possessed and when she's not.
Yes, really, the movie was really struggling with that. But can we talk about when she meets Johnny at the gas station?
Yes,
because she walks in.
I'm getting to that. So,
okay.
So it's like so like when this happens, it's like you don't realize like she's
not possessed at this point.
Is she possessed or is she not?
No,
was that just her?
She's not possessed. She's not possessed at this point. She hasn't met the ghost. She's had the visions, but she hasn't met the ghost, and she's not possessed at this point.
And she definitely looked at the oil painting of him and was like, yes. And she was like thirsty and, like, look at that oil painting. That's a sexy oil painting. It's like, girl.
But I know. No, but when she goes to the gas station and meets Johnny for the first time, she is not possessed.
Okay, well, so they need gas, so they go to the gas station, and she goes inside the garage, and he's fixing an engine or whatever, and she's like, excuse me, can we get some gas? And he's like, go to the other gas station, like, and she's like, why? And he's like, because
there's only one in town. We're in White Cliff, Maine. No, I'm sorry.
And he's like, my gas is watered down and it's overpriced. I fix cars. I'm not like a gas monkey or whatever. And she goes, she's gonna take a sip of my drink because it's very important what she
says. Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm glad you remember. I wrote it down because I was like, what the fuck?
So all of a sudden, this girl who's been introduced to us as this mousy, bookish girl
She's kind of frumpy too, right? I mean, she's very pretty, but she's dressed like frumpishly.
Yeah, she's wearing huge jeans, big oversized sweaters.
Right? She's wearing like overalls or something.
Overalls when she's gardening. Like, she's very like she's kind of frumpy, she's kind of bookish and mousy and whatever. And he's all like, "Get out of here, go to the other gas station." And she just goes, "I want you to fill up my tank. Can you do that? And then I want you to wash my windshield while I watch."
Yeah, right? I think that was a direct quote. "I want you to fill up my tank, and then I want you to wash my windshield, and I'm gonna watch." And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what is happening right now?
And he's just all like, boing, yes, ma'am.
Right? He's like, holy shit, wait, which movie am I in? Like, very weird. It was a very, very weird.
It's a really weird interaction. And I feel like there's that interaction and then the interaction in the lighthouse. And then apart from that, they have no chemistry. Like, zero chemistry.
None. No.
Like, I don't even believe them as human strangers occupying the same room. Like, that's how little chemistry they have.
They have less chemistry than Tori Spelling and whatever his name in Mother May I Sleep with Danger, and they had nothing.
Well, it's just so strange. It's like their interactions are like him being like, "I'm not interested," and her being like, "Come on, be interested." And he's like, "I'm not interested." But she doesn't seem invested at all. It's like they're both just sort of saying lines at each other.
Also, how old is he supposed to be? Because Mary
21.
was like 16 or something.
Is 16? They were both 16, and it's 5 years later. So he's
21,
so he's 21.
22. Oh, okay. So he's like 20, 21. Okay, I didn't realize it was 5 years later. Okay, because we find out that like he was her boyfriend. They had this like secret relationship, kind of, that her father, Tim Matheson, didn't approve of,
and like offered him a job at the cannery.
A good job at the cannery.
Oh, and also he's like from the wrong side of the tracks. He's like a bad boy, and he's misunderstood.
Yes.
And he wears a leather jacket and wears a motorcycle.
And she's like from the rich family, like the Matheson family. They're like the rich family in this tiny town in Maine.
He like was the star quarterback on the football team in high school, and then started his own cannery business. But they made it seem like he was from the wrong side of the tracks too. He just like made it good.
Tim Matheson?
That was my understanding. But I could be wrong.
All I got from that was that Tim Matheson and her mom went to high school together, but he was a couple years older, and so they didn't really know each other.
That was like a weird like plot hole that they never really resolved at all. Like, why even mention that?
Oh yeah, why mention that? It had nothing to do with anything.
But, okay, whatever. Anyway.
Yeah. So that's more or less Act 1. She meets the ghost of Mary at the end of Act 1, right?
Yeah, and then she possesses her for like a second.
Right. Most of Act 2 is like Tiffani-Amber Thiessen being possessed. But like, we have to talk, this is one of my big notes. So she meets this ghost, and the ghost is like, we have to figure out what happened to me. Right?
Right.
And their relationship, I didn't understand Tiffani-Amber Thiessen's relationship with this ghost.
It ebbs and flows. It goes through. They really go through the shit together. It seems like
they're like frenemies.
Yes,
like kind of a toxic relationship.
Yes, right? I think frenemies is a good word for it.
Because like Mary, I know you said you want to dig into Mary's character, and I really want to do that because I did not understand. It's like her character. It's like when she gets introduced, I'm like, oh, this is a scary, evil, bad ghost, and then you're like, no, she's like a good ghost. I don't know what happened to her. And then you're like, oh no, she's a bad. Like she's not. she's a very complex character in this movie.
No, I didn't look at it in terms of good and evil. I
Oh,
looked
okay.
at it in terms of like I think they were going for like she is a spoiled 16-year-old girl who all of a sudden has supernatural powers.
Hmm. Okay.
So, sometimes she's going to be sweet and she's going to possess Tiffani-Amber Thiessen and make her play that horrible off-key song on the piano, which
Yeah.
I don't understand. Like just all of a sudden, Tiffani-Amber Thiessen just playing like this, plonk, plonk, plonk,
Yeah.
plonk, 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 and then like Tiffany or Tim Matheson walks up and he's like, "That's beautiful. Where'd you learn how to play the piano like that?"
And she's like, I've never played the piano before.
That's the song that my Mary used to play. How did you know that?
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
The
then
possession, but the thing though is like, this is what I'm saying though, like Mary possesses Tiffani-Amber Thiessen on a couple of occasions, but like, it's never okay. Like, here's a question. Okay, so in Act 2, and we have to introduce the horse, I think, at this point. So like, they
Yes.
go to Tim Matheson's house, and at this point, I didn't think Tiffani-Amber Thiessen was possessed, and like the horse runs over, and Tiffani-Amber Thiessen like pets his head, and then Tim Matheson is like, "Oh, nobody ever lets him touch him like that. Only Mary was able to touch him." And I'm like, I didn't think she was possessed at this point.
See, like, and that's what I was saying. It's like her, like the possession is so odd.
Clunky.
Like they don't really make it very clear, like when she's possessed and when she's not. And I don't know if they thought like, oh, like we'll just sort of like blur the lines, like so because the lines are blurred, or but like as a viewer, I would have appreciated a bit more.
It was confusing.
It was confusing.
It was confusing because when they go to that house, I'm like, oh, it's just Tiffani-Amber Thiessen. It's Tiffani-Amber Thiessen, and then like she pets the horse, and there's no mention that she's possessed at that point. She's like, oh, I pet the horse. Me and the horse are friends. Tim Matheson's like, that's weird. Like that's
like,
it.
And it's like the rules of the possession are like really strange. Like clearly she was possessed when she stole the horse.
You mean later? Because later on she goes and steals the horse.
Yes, Tiffani-Amber Thiessen.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like wearing her like Little House on the Prairie nightgown.
So a couple scenes later, like I guess she does get possessed, and we know she's possessed, and she like goes over to Tim Matheson's house and like hops on the horse and like rides it home, and like she's wearing like that like flowing white nightgown, and she looks like
she looks like Laura Ingalls Wilder or something like. It's like, no, girl. 1990. Were girls wearing nightgowns like that in 1996?
Hey, we've agreed we don't know what her deal is, so yeah, maybe she is. Right?
Yeah. No, you're right. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe they're like, FLDS or something. We never got into their religion.
No, it didn't come up in the movie. The whole time, though, they're just like, you haven't gotten over your father's death. That's why you're being possessed now and all these things. But this is what I'm saying though, like their relationship is just like, I didn't understand it because like, so Tiffani-Amber Thiessen and Johnny are kind of like getting along, right?
Well, not really. Like
at first.
So he's just sort of like, I'm not into any of this. I'm not looking for a relationship. I'm still hung up on Mary, whatever. She's just sort of like throwing herself at him and also being like, and your dead girlfriend speaks to me.
Yeah, that's...
and doesn't understand why he's pulling back whenever she does that. Mm-hmm. Until she finally seduces him in the lighthouse. Which is a whole nother thing. Like, was she possessed then?
That's what... Okay, I don't think so, right? I think when when they I wrote this down. She was so they make out in the lighthouse, and I think that's it. And then later on, Mary is angry at Tiffani-Amber Thiessen. She's like, "You're trying to."
No. You have it backwards.
Oh.
No. They No, the first time they kiss is in the lighthouse, like right before he goes down on her and they fuck. Like that. That's all part of the same.
I want to get to that. I definitely want to get to him going down on her and them fucking, because I wrote a note on that as well.
No, that's all part of the same sequence. The reason I was confused about that is because before she meets him in the lighthouse, so Mary is upset because it seems, or maybe they do kiss beforehand.
They kiss in the lighthouse, so she's like, "Tell me what happened that night. Mary says you know something." And he's like, "I just saw Mary and her mother struggling, and then I had to leave, and I didn't see what else happened."
So do they go to the lighthouse twice?
Then? I think so, yeah.
Oh, okay. Then
because the first time, and then he's like, I don't know what happened, and then she kisses him, but she's not possessed at that point. She's just Annalise.
Oh, I thought I thought that was all one scene.
No.
Okay. Well then, yeah. Okay. So then it makes a little more sense then, because she comes home and Mary the ghost is like, "You're trying to steal my boyfriend. Fuck you. Get the fuck out of my house." And then starts poltergeisting all over the place.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, what's your relationship? Is it help me, or you're gonna steal my boyfriend and I'm gonna kill you? What is it? Make up your mind, Ghost Mary.
Well, I think the reason why you're so confused is because so she poltergeists her and is making things fly around the house and making her fly against the wall, and then she makes her think that she cut her own arm off.
It was very scary.
Yeah, it was scary. It was weird. And then Tiffani-Amber Thiessen ends up in a mental hospital because her mom comes home and she's like, "She cut off my arm! She cut off my arm!" And so she comes back from the mental hospital, and then the next time we see Tiffani-Amber Thiessen and Mary, they're just shooting the shit, sitting next to the fireplace.
Right. That's no discussion. That's exactly where I wrote down, this is a toxic relationship.
No discussion.
You were poltergeisting me all over this house. You made me think I cut off my own arm with a knife.
To the point where I ended up in a mental institution. And that's another thing about her and Johnny, because Johnny comes to see her at the mental institution, looks through the window and sees her throwing up her pills into a bucket, and then she's wondering why he's pulling away.
And this mental institution also has a very liberal guest policy.
Yes. But also, she goes to him after she gets out of the mental institution, and she's like, "Why are you pulling away from me? Why are you acting like you don't like me? Da, 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 da. I know." And I'm like, "Girl, he came to see you in the mental institution, and you were throwing up your pills in a bucket."
Yeah.
There are so many red flags here, Tiffany, honey. I'm sorry.
No.
I don't mean to be I don't mean to be insensitive, but that's a lot to deal with, and especially when he saw his ex-girlfriend going through the same thing.
Let's be real though, it's slim pickings up in that town in Maine. Though,
in Whitecliff?
It's slim pickings in Whitecliff, right?
I don't know. I mean, we didn't see there must be a high school, or well, he's 21. That's not right.
Yeah, he's 20-something.
That's some R. Kelly shit. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's.
Well,
so he's like, this is about as good as it's gonna get
and
for me.
she does look like Tiffani-Amber Thiessen in 1996.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, she looks. Yeah, exactly. But when she goes to that mental institution, Tim Matheson just rolls up and is able to go into her room and be like, "What's going on? What happened to you?" And it's just you're not related. How does he just get in like that?
Is that because his new wife is the doctor?
Is it? So he's still just allowed in?
I don't know. Maybe she gave... And he's also the richest man in town. He can probably go wherever he wants.
That's true. But you're right, though, because then the very next scene, they're just, chilling in the attic, best buds.
They're just chilling in the attic, just, talking about boys and yada, yada, yada. No mention of, I ended up in a mental institution taking wacky pills because of you.
You think maybe we should hash this out before we can be friends again?
I would think so. I wouldn't be comfortable being friends with a ghost who just tried to poltergeist me and caused me to end up it would be like, okay, before we continue, I'm happy to solve your mother's murder, but can you please maybe go downstairs and reveal yourself to my mom so she doesn't think that I'm a crazy person and I end up in a mental institution again? I feel like that's reasonable.
Yeah, very toxic, very toxic. It was very Mean Girls, just not a bad relationship that they had.
And then that conversation is weird too because it's they're talking about boys and Johnny and yada yada yada, and in essence, Ghost Mary is God, I wish I could just fuck him one more time, and Tiffani-Amber Thiessen's well, you could use me.
Yeah, and this is right, and they've already had conversations where Mary's you're trying to steal my boyfriend, I'll kill you, and now Tiffani-Amber Thiessen's you could use my body and fuck Johnny in my body, and it'd be you were doing it,
and they're high five.
Cool. Sweet. And so then that's the next scene. I don't know if it's the next scene, but then
so is she possessed then?
What's that?
So is she possessed then?
Yes. Okay, so then Annalise, Tiffani-Amber Thiessen, meets Johnny in the lighthouse again. At this point, she is possessed.
So she is possessed then. Because it doesn't...
Yes.
It seems like she slips in and out of the possession.
She's possessed at this point because Johnny is she's tell me something only Mary would know. And he's only Mary knows that. And she's no, don't actually, or she's don't tell me, just think of it. And then she's the way I look at your face, something. He's only Mary would know that. And she's yeah, dum-dum, I'm Mary, I'm Mary. So at that point, she's possessed.
She's talking about herself in the third person while she's possessing Tiffani-Amber Thiessen.
I think so, yes.
Okay, that's why I was confused.
So at that point, Tiffani-Amber Thiessen is possessed by Mary, and there's a straight up, because I wrote straight up ghost sex scene, because there's just a 2-minute long made for TV movie sex scene wherein there is implied where there's implied him going down on her.
There's implied cunnilingus. There's a ton of side boob on Tiffani-Amber Thiessen. She takes off her bra and you see that whole side going on, and then she's on top of him and enjoying his penis.
But it's a 2-minute. I was okay, we get it. They're gonna do it, and it went on for quite a while. I was,
and she looked. I mean, she looked beautiful throughout.
Yeah.
But he is disgusting. He's so unattractive. It was just girl, what are you doing? But
she's possessed by Mary, though. It's Mary's old boyfriend.
So, okay. So does he realize that this is Mary that he's having relations with?
Yes, at this point, yes. The thing is, though, Tiffani-Amber Thiessen, when she's not possessed, is also into him.
Exactly. And I'm just confused by their whole relationship. Because it's okay, so she was possessed when they had sex for the first time, but then they don't address that ever again afterwards, and they just sort of act like the two of them are into each other when they don't know each other at all, really.
Yeah, it's confusing.
And they have a contentious relationship when they...
It's a little confusing, yeah. Because, I don't know. I did though, that there was implied cunnilingus, though. I was you go, Lifetime.
Yes, I appreciated it. Television for women by women. Hey.
Right?
That's right.
She's just,
go get
her,
your son.
what is, it's her back is up against a wall or something, and you just see his head,
No, she's doing that thing where, her arms are crossed across her nipples, and then he is, moving down her body, and she just puts her head back and is flipping her hair.
Yeah, but it lingers there for 6 minutes. It's 6 seconds, and I'm just this is something's happening here. Go Lifetime. This is raunchy. It's good.
It was raunchy. I was like, oh.
Yeah,
I definitely was. I was a little taken aback. I
yeah,
felt like a mother clutching her pearls.
yeah. So that's basically the second act, I think, right?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, I'm still confused about certain things, but I suppose it doesn't matter.
So part of Mary gets out of the mental institution, and part of her like therapy
Annalise.
is what I say.
Annalise.
Oh, Annalise, Tiffani-Amber Thiessen gets out of the mental ward, and she has to like go see the town psychiatrist, which happens to be Tim Matheson's wife.
Oh yeah, go see my wife there. She's a real good psychologist. She'll
And
get your brains right
She's taken
and
pills.
shot harder.
Did you remember the part where she goes to? Why is she there? She goes to the hospital about her pills.
So I think we should unpack the character of Danielle a bit because
Stepmom.
yes. So the new Tim Matheson's new wife, she comes off as like very stuffy and very. I could see how she got the part of Lily Vanderwoodson, Kelly Rutherford.
Okay.
Very arch, very. She's a doctor. In this small podunk town.
Right. Yeah, she's like the big wig in she's like the big wig in town.
She's got that very condescending,
Yeah.
oh honey, thing going on, and
I've got my doctorate in psychiatry from the University of Portland, Maine.
yeah,
So.
upstairs Tijuana Medical School.
That's exactly.
But so after like her mom, like Annalise's mom is like, I guess sends her to see the therapist or whatever after one of the episodes. Or it's after she steals the horse in her period costume in her colonial dress. And so like she's all like oh, so your father died recently. How do you feel about that? Usually under grief, there's a fair amount of anger. Do you ever feel anger? Yada, yada, yada. And she's just like, yeah, I'm sad about my dad who died wandering through caves in Mexico.
I never really got total understanding on what happened to her.
So he mapped caves, and he was in a cave 3 miles below the surface in Mexico, and he got lost. I guess because he wasn't very good at mapping caves.
He wasn't very good at spelunking.
And just died wandering around the cave.
That's terrible. That's a terrible way to die.
Which leads, I'm just like, how did they find him?
Yeah, right?
Like, how do they know that that's the story? Like, so he wasn't with anyone? He was just mapping a cave through. He didn't have a radio. He didn't have a person with a guide.
Yeah.
With him.
Yeah. What's worse, dying spelunking in a cave or dying while helicopter skiing in the mountains?
Ooh.
You remember that's how?
Yeah. What's his name's parents died?
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go with a cave.
Yeah, it's probably a lot worse because you're in the dark. You're by yourself.
Yeah, and we all saw The Descent, and that was scary.
Yeah, that is scary.
Yeah,
The Descent is scary.
Anyways, so she's like, yeah, like, my dad died, and I feel weird, and I'm having like weird dreams and weird visions and whatnot. And instead of like, being non-judgmental and treating her like with just like a modicum of like respect and care, she just goes to her mom and is just like, yeah, so and she starts talking about like Mary and how she's like, oh, well, how do you think like you can resolve like these dreams and these visions? She's just like, oh, I have to find Mary's killer, or like the person who killed Mary's mom. And she's like, oh, okay, I see. And then goes to her mom and is like, I think that she really needs to be committed to an insane asylum for the rest of her life. And that's when you're like, okay, bitch,
Yeah.
so you did it.
Yeah, right.
You did
At that point,
it.
it's like,
You
well, there's
killed
only
those people.
yeah. At this point, it's like, well, there's only like 2 other suspects in this movie, so
Yeah.
clearly it's you.
But like, what was her plan? She was just gonna feed her these wacky pills until like
Yeah.
she, like, what?
Because shortly thereafter, then there's the scene at the hospital where Annalise goes to the hospital for some reason, and she's like, "Can you look at these pills?" She's like, "I'm on these pills or something." She hands it to a nurse, and the nurse like looks at the pills. She like opens the bottle rather than like reading the label. She like opens the bottle
Well,
and
I
like
think
pours
she.
some pills into her hand. She's like, "Oh, you shouldn't be on these." And she's like,
I
"Find the
think
doctor."
she.
She's like,
I think she read the label and then looked at the pills and then made the connection.
uh,
Like, these aren't the
okay.
pills
But I mean,
that.
pills look the same basically. So she goes to the doctor, and this is a nurse, by the way. She goes to the doctor. She's like, "Doctor, look at what this girl's taking," and the doctor's just like, "Cover your ass on this one." And the nurse is just like, "I'm gonna keep your pills." It's just like,
And then
is
she
there a
freaks the
pharmacist
fuck
in
out.
town?
But then she freaks the fuck out. She's like, "No, give me my pills! Give me my pills!" And starts like knocking everything over on the desk and like having a fucking freak out. And like the nurse is like, "Security, security!" And it's like, why do you want the pills?
It's madness.
It's just
yeah,
madness.
these are pills that she thought were bad for her, and then it's
And
just
then
like
the nurse confirms that these pills are bad for you, and then she has like a fucking freak out.
just madness.
It's just insane. It's just insanity. And like even Johnny's like, why the fuck did you flip out like that? And she's like, well, now we don't have the proof that she's giving me like, fucked up pills. And it's like,
Yeah.
but you do, because the nurse knows that they're crazy pills and has alerted the staff to this medicine that you shouldn't be taking.
Yeah.
And looked appropriately shocked. And then also when she's like talking to Annalise's mom later, and it's like, the only reason I'm not pressing charges is because you've promised to like actually get her like care or whatever. And it's like, but you know that she's on a medication that makes her insane. So why would you press charges? Why aren't you bringing this prescription to anyone's attention besides this what like
a lot of it really didn't make a lot of sense.
like, why aren't you pressing charges against Danielle for prescribing her the crazy pills?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, long story short, it turns out that Tim Matheson, like, oh yeah, I'm stepping out on my wife with Kelly Rutherford, Lily Vanderwoodson over here, and oh no, turns out she's pregnant. She's got a bun in the oven over here.
Yeah, right.
So Kelly Rutherford decides that she has to push Carole King off the ledge.
She pushes her off the cliff, right?
And then she's been giving Mary crazy pills this whole time. Or after she kills the mob, she starts giving Mary the crazy pills. So everyone thinks that Mary is crazy. And then one night, Mary takes all the pills and hits her head against the bathtub and drowns in the tub.
Did I misunderstand something?
Oh.
I thought I was up with you until that point. I thought, am I wrong? I thought what's her name, the stepmother?
Danielle.
I thought Danielle killed Mary.
No, you're right.
Oh, okay.
Well,
and made it look like a suicide.
Well, actually, it's confusing because Mary and Tim Matheson's account is that because Mary says, like, I took all these pills and then all of a sudden my head started to hurt and then the water got red and I drowned in the red water.
Yeah.
And Tim Matheson sort of corroborates that. But then Danielle is like, oh, but I held your head under the water.
Yeah.
So that's confusing. It's like And maybe it's because, like, Tim Matheson and Mary don't know what really happened. But then, like, why was Danielle, like, in the house, like, stalking her? And
I
I
think
guess because she's crazy.
I think Danielle pushed the mother off the cliff.
Yeah.
We know that definitively.
Yes.
I think Danielle also killed Mary, but I don't understand why.
I mean, ultimately, she's responsible for her death. Either way.
But I think Danielle actually murdered. I think she murdered both of them. I think she killed the wife, which we know she did. But I think she also killed Mary and made it look like a suicide by like putting the pills around. But that leads me to question.
But Mary herself admits that she took the pills, and she was dizzy and hit her head.
But Danielle does say something about how she drowned her. Right?
Yeah. Like she admits to it at some point. Like she held her.
Well, she's crazy, so she's taking a whole bunch of pills, right? And then Danielle comes in and she's like, "I'll kill you," and drowns her. I don't know. The thing, though, that I don't understand at all, and maybe you can shed some light into this, is so near the end, coming up on the end of the movie, Tiffani-Amber Thiessen once again is being possessed by Mary. Mary is now speaking to her father, Tim Matheson. Tim Matheson recognizes that Tiffani-Amber Thiessen is possessed by his daughter, and this is the ghost speaking to him. And Tiffani-Amber Thiessen / Mary at this point says like all these things that happened, and Tim Matheson is like, "Yes, I remember finding you in the bathtub. I picked you up and I pushed life into you. I gave you mouth to mouth and you breathed for a moment, but then he's like, your heart still went out." And he's like, "And so then I buried you in the garden?"
Because it was her favorite place.
I understand that, but the story around town is that he's been telling is that she ran away.
Yeah. I don't quite understand why you wouldn't. It's like a real Weekend at Bernie's type situation. Like, why wouldn't you just call the police?
Why wouldn't you call the police? Why wouldn't you actually like have a funeral and like bury? Why would you? It makes him look pretty guilty, which really we know now he is not guilty of anything. But it makes him look pretty guilty if he finds his daughter's dead, presumably naked body in a bathtub.
I wonder if it's just like a device used by the writers so that it seems like there's two suspects, so he can say at the beginning of the movie like, "Oh, don't garden over there, ladies. There's buried secrets over there."
Well, it's certainly a device, but logically it makes no sense.
Yes, no, logically it makes absolutely no sense. No, because like if you walked into the room and you saw your daughter drowned and then you gave her CPR, she breathed for a second, and then she died, you would call the police.
And presumably if there's pills scattered around like he said there were, you would go, "Oh my god, what? Holy shit," you would call 911 immediately.
Unless, like, he knew, like, Danielle, like... Okay, and this
But he didn't know. He didn't know that Danielle killed both of them.
Well, so they've... A couple of scenes before, Johnny and Annalise find her body in the garden. They dig her up. Mm-hmm. And then... Mm-hmm. And then Johnny goes to confront him while he's welding. And he's like, "Oh, you street rat, get out of here." And they have like a whole confrontation, and he's like, "Mary and I loved each other, and you tried to keep us apart, and we just found her buried in the garden, and like you killed her, da 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 da." He's like, "You got out of here, stop accusing me of things I didn't do," and like takes a lead pipe and beats the fuck out of him, or a wrench, and beats the fuck out of Johnny and knocks him unconscious. Why?
Could have, but didn't. Could have murdered him. But yes, exactly. But why?
Why?
Why? At this point, you're just like, "Oh, he's in on it." But it turns out that he's not in on it at all. So it's just like, you just could have killed this person
for no reason.
It's crazy. It makes no sense. It makes no fucking sense at all.
And then he goes to Annalise and like acts like he doesn't know what just happened, that they dug up his daughter's bones in the garden, and she's like, "Oh, I have something to show you." And they go into the attic, and it turns out she's possessed at this point, And then Mary comes out of her and reveals herself to her father.
And then she can see it. And then he can see her.
For the first time, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's, like, scared and taken aback. And, like, I thought, like, he was so scared, like, get away from me, don't touch me, Mary! Like, because, like, he was afraid that, like, because he killed her.
Right!
That's what I was like...
I was like, oh,
okay. I was like, oh, okay, it wasn't Danielle, it must have been him. You know, and now he's gonna get his just desserts, like, at the end of Ghost.
Yeah,
You know.
but it makes no sense because for somebody that's innocent of doing anything other than oddly burying his daughter's body in the garden and saying she ran away, he didn't do anything. He didn't kill her. He didn't know what happened to her. He thought she had killed herself.
And it's like, if he was so, like, I can understand being so traumatized and full of grief that, like, yeah, sure, okay, you bury your daughter in the garden that she loved or whatever. But then, like, why wouldn't you, like, keep the garden up and keep it going and, like, keep it beautiful for her? Like,
I'm thinking that he had probably had run-ins with Mary's ghost before the movie ever started and didn't want to believe it was true. That's why he was trying to rent the house out. That's why he was like, I can't be near this house. This house...
that makes sense.
Right? So maybe he, like, knew but didn't want to believe. But the thing is...
And that's why she was all like, make my daddy come back, make my daddy come back.
But the thing is, none of his behavior makes any sense. Nothing. Hitting Johnny in the head with a wrench?
Like, what?
Why?
Why?
Burying his daughter in the garden and saying she ran away? Unless he suspected Danielle, but he didn't seem to suspect Danielle of anything.
He didn't seem to, but it kind of doesn't make sense that you wouldn't, given her behavior.
The more I talk about this movie out loud, the less it makes sense. Actually, one of the things I was thinking when I watched it, and I'm not joking with you. This is one of my notes. I don't know at what point I wrote it, but I'm just like maybe 2/3 of the way through the movie. I was just like, this is a pretty good movie. Like,
I mean, I was certainly entertained. But yeah, no, I found myself, like, throughout just... Like I told you this morning when you were like, I don't know what we're going to talk about with this movie. I was like, I just have a lot of questions.
There's a lot of questions.
Because there's just, like, a lot of things just, like, left dangling that make no sense when you actually give it, like, 2 seconds of thought. And speaking of which, let's get to the ending.
I was just going to say that. Speaking of making no sense, let's talk about the end of the movie. So we find out the truth. The truth.
Yes.
The truth is that Danielle is that okay. So the true story, what actually happened?
Yes.
Johnny had been offered, or Johnny went over to go see Mary. Mary's parents, her real parents, Tim Matheson and dead
Carol
wife,
King,
didn't approve of Johnny. Didn't want her to be with him. So the father offered Johnny a job in his canning factory if he would break up with Mary, which he did, and he regretted. He was 16 years old.
He wanted to move to the right side of the tracks.
Exactly. He wanted this job. He wanted to do right. So he took the job. He broke up with Mary, even though he loved her. As this is happening, apparently, they're breaking up in the lighthouse. As they're breaking up in the lighthouse, Mary and her real mother are getting into an argument on the cliff, right?
Wait, after they broke up.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Excuse me. She can't be in 2 places at one time. It's after they broke up.
Yes.
Mary is having this argument with her mother on the cliff.
Yes. And then this is where I was confused. Because so they're having an argument on the cliff. How did that argument end? Because then later Mary says that, like, and then somebody pushed her off the cliff. I couldn't see who because of the fog. So did the argument end with, like,
Mary
okay, bye,
away.
And she just stomps away?
I think so. Yes, I think they get into this argument. Mary stomps away. It's the cliff. It's foggy. Someone we find out is Danielle, who Tim Matheson is cheating on, Or cheating with?
No, he was cheating on Carole King with Danielle.
Yes, so
Danielle was
Danielle
pregnant.
comes over.
Danielle got pregnant.
Yes.
And was like, no, he is mine.
So Danielle sees her opportunity, pushes real mom off the cliff, real mom dies.
She felt the earth move under her feet. Mm.
Good one.
Thank you.
Then Danielle, having committed this murder, and there being really no witnesses, wants to get rid of Mary, the daughter, so she starts feeding her crazy pills. Mary goes crazy. Danielle eventually is just like, I don't want this daughter around anymore either. I'm going to murder her. That's the reality, right?
Yes.
So this is all discovered at the end of the movie. There's a whole climax at the cliff, right? Because
like Annalise goes out there for some reason. I don't remember why she goes out to the cliff after. Because like Tim Matheson is reunited with Mary.
But she goes out to the cliff and she's confronted by Danielle.
Yeah, she goes out to the cliff for whatever reason, and like Danielle is out there, and she was like, everything was perfect before you came along, dredging up all this ancient history, yada yada yada, and just like straight pushes her off the cliff, just like, bye bitch, boom.
Right.
And then like, so Annalise like catches a vine or something on her way down. So she's like hanging there.
It's very Princess Bride, the cliffs of, what's it called in Princess Bride?
Oh, I haven't seen that movie in like 20 years.
It's like the Cliffs of Despair or whatever. It's when he's hanging onto like the branch on the cliff, basically.
Well, yeah, but so she's hanging onto this branch or this vine or whatever, and like Kelly Rutherford like looks over the side and she's like, okay, well, that's done, and like walks off. And then Tim Matheson and Johnny come over and they're like, oh shit, looks like you're hanging from a branch there. Oh, that looks precarious. Johnny, come help me. And they get her up.
Honestly, I don't know if it's you being in Minnesota or what, but you do a pretty good Tim Matheson. Yeah.
Oh well, it goes into Irish a little too much, but
that's good though.
It's like a bit of Irish.
Like, Audie, you need a hand there.
I just loved like how he called it, like the mom, like, oh Laura. It was Laura. I mean, I guess I don't know if you got I don't know how would you say Laura in a maniac accent. I'm just saying I like the adjective maniac for a person from Maine.
But anyway, they like rescue her.
Yes,
right?
They rescue her. She's fine. She's safe. So then, cut to Danielle. She drives up to their new mansion with their sprawling green acres of land, and
thinking she got away with this her third murder.
She pulls down the rear view mirror and opens the makeup mirror, and she's fixing her makeup or her lipstick with her pinky, and she's like, everything's back to normal now, and gets out of the car. It's late at night, fog's rolling in, and all of a sudden you hear and I was just like, no. Because before that, you see Mary, she's finally free from the house, so she goes running away. And then when Tiffani-Amber Thiessen's like hanging from the branch on the cliff, like you see Mary looking over and she's like, Mary, help me! And like Mary's just like, bye, and like disappears. So cut to Danielle at the house here, nee! And she like gets out of the car and she's like, what was that? And then the fucking horse galloping out of the darkness. It's like, nee! And she's like, no.
And the horse, I don't know how to describe this part. You really, if anyone's listening to this or cares, if you're not going to watch this movie, it's not whatever. Watch the movie, don't watch the movie. Watch the last 3 minutes, because she gets out of the car and this all happens, and the horse, it doesn't trample her to death. It beats her. The horse beats her to death.
The horse rears up on its hind legs and then comes down on her with its front legs, and
Like
then rears up
like
again, and then comes down, and then
like 4
rears up
times.
again, like 4 times. Like, smashes the fuck out of her with its hooves.
And that also leaves so many questions, because it's just like, was Mary possessing the horse at that point?
Did Mary go visit the horse? Because now she was free of the house and said, hey, Flicka, or whatever the horse's name is, like, go
Was the
trample
horse
the
just
shit
that
out of her.
angry? It was hilarious and confusing
It
at the
was
same time.
amazing. Like, the look on her face, like, no, no, no.
And just the horse rearing up and like
and just
coming
like
down
the
on
music
her.
just like because like there's just like a lot of the score is just like somebody just like balling their fists up and just like just banging on a piano, just a lot of like
That's because Tiffani-Amber Thiessen did the score as well. She was
now it all makes sense.
right?
Now it all makes sense.
Full circle.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. She did a beautiful job. Very
that shit
evocative.
That shit at the end though was hilarious.
It was bonkers. It was. I mean, it made like I texted you last night after I was done, and it was just like, well, that just made it all worth it, didn't it?
Right, yeah.
Because like
Yeah,
that was
nothing
amazing.
else.
Like that was amazing. I feel like there's like at least usually in Lifetime movies, like at least one amazing moment. Like, you know, in Friends Till the End, when the ghosts are dancing while Zan is singing the song at the end.
Oh, God, that's right. I forgot there was a ghost in that movie. That's right, that was in the movie with ghosts.
Yes, yes.
Sort of. I mean, it wasn't about ghosts, but at the end.
But there's always a moment that makes it work. Or, like, in Mother May I Sleep with Danger, the whole Aquaman sequence.
I still stand by that. I like that whole movie. Whatever.
Listen to that episode, everyone.
Yeah, okay.
You can hear our thoughts about that. But for me, this movie, far and away, like that's a classic.
Yes, the horse scene at the end is it transcends time and space.
It's just, and also the way it's just so badly edited. Like,
oh yeah, because I mean, from the way we make it sounds like you can like see the horse.
No,
you can't see the horse like trampling her. You see the horse go up and you see the horse come down. You see the horse go up and you see the horse 4 times, and then you see Danielle's lifeless body like on the ground.
And you see her just kind of like because like one horse trampling, you'd be out, but she's just like he rears up, cuts to her with her hands in front of her face, going no. Horse comes down. Horse goes up. No! Even more dramatic than before. Horse comes down. And then, then you see her lifeless body.
It's fucking hilarious.
In the dark grass. Like it's
I'm
transcendent.
I'm telling you, let's meet Linda. It's one of my favorite scenes. Maybe we should make a file of that.
Oh, we should make a GIF. Yes.
Yeah, we should.
I would agree with that.
Throw that one up. It's pretty good.
Or the initial shot of when she steals the horse.
Yeah, that one's good too. Like her in her white nightgown,
like period dress.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Yeah,
that's pretty good too. And then that's basically it, right? Because there's one final scene, and I think
she's just like Johnny, like she's wearing another Jane Mancini original and white Keds, and then Johnny pulls up in his tow truck, and they start making out. Yeah. And the end, and the house still looks like a shit show from the outside. Like they haven't done anything to it, and it's like oh well, but they wouldn't because they're renters,
right?
Why wouldn't they move? Yeah. After all this,
I actually that was a note I had as well early in the haunting was why don't you move? Probably because there's not a lot of stuff for rent up in White Cliff.
But there must be at least one other property because like I can't imagine because like the mom and the realtor have gone into business together. I
Mhm.
can't imagine the realtor would fuck over her new partner in such a
Yeah,
way.
that's the other thing too. Why does she bring her on as a partner? Seriously, how big is the rental market up in White Cliff? Even if you take like that entire like within like 60-mile radius of that part of Maine, there's probably not a whole lot going on,
Well, there's
right?
probably like a lot of like business in the summer.
Summer business,
There's
sure,
probably like a lot of
maybe.
summer rentals, I would imagine. And
Yeah,
it looked like they were there during like a nice part of the year. It looked like they were there
yeah,
like, early fall because like the fog was rolling in.
yeah. I don't know. Here's my question for you. As I
But
was
like they
watching
were
this
still like
movie,
out in the garden and gardening and stuff. So it must have been summer.
yeah, it had to have been. Here's a question that I had for you that I wrote down just
Hmm.
after watching this movie.
Yes.
Was this one based on a true story?
Yes. My life.
Right?
I'm gonna
Okay.
call it
Um,
Hostess with the Ghostess.
we're running probably long. Do you want to do our things and wrap it up?
Sure.
Okay. Favorite
The
characters?
horse, obviously.
I knew you were gonna. Okay. Well, now after having spoken, I knew you were gonna say the horse. The horse is a good game.
Well, obviously. I mean, who else?
I had
Wait,
actually written
what?
down, and
Ugly
again, this.
Johnny? Like,
No,
who?
this is another movie where there really aren't a whole lot of characters, right? There's really.
True.
So my favorite character was actually uh, the doctor in the hospital who's just like who tells the nurse. So when Tiffani-Amber Thiessen goes to like check out her pills, and the nurse is like, "You shouldn't be taking this," and she brings it over to the doctor, and the doctor's just like, "Cover your ass,"
Is that
and
what
like
he
walks.
said?
What's that?
Is that what he said?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
The
I
nurse comes.
missed that.
The nurse comes over to him and she's like, "Doctor, look what pills she's on." And he's just like, he's basically like, "I don't want anything to do with this." And then he literally says, like, quote unquote, "Cover your ass." And I'm like,
I completely missed that. Are you serious?
yeah. And I'm like, that's amazing.
Why would the nurse need to cover her ass? She didn't prescribe the pills.
None of it made any sense. But there you go. American healthcare system in action.
Thanks, Obama.
Thanks, Obama. So, all right,
Mhm.
favorite characters. Would you recommend this movie?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you don't have anything better to do, it's not like an event movie like Mother May I Sleep with Danger or Friends Till the End or the one with Tiffani-Amber Thiessen where she marries the Navy guy and he's like a serial rapist.
Oh, I don't think we've done an episode of that, but that's a good
No,
one.
but that's a good movie. That's like a
That's a
good movie.
we've watched that together, but we
Yes.
never. I don't think we did a episode on that one.
Yeah. And so it's not like, destination TV, but like if it's on, it's fine for an hour and a half, whatever.
Yeah, I mostly agree with you. I liked it. I thought I legitimately and to be fair, I was under the influence when I watched it. But I was it was there was some scary parts to it. Like
Yeah, I was under the influence of as well. Well, I mean, I was drinking a glass. Well, not a glass, but a bourbon drink.
sure,
And but like I mostly like had my laptop on my lap and was like going back and forth until about like the last half an hour.
okay, it
I mean
was
enough that it's enough to like keep your attention but like feel free to like have your laptop open and like if
yeah, it was
something interesting
watchable,
comes
but it
to
wasn't like
your inbox.
hilarious in the way that other movies are like
No,
hilarious.
no, it really wasn't very funny at all.
No, it wasn't very
It
funny. It
was
was
just
entertaining.
odd. It was just
It was
odd.
yeah. So I would. So we both agree. It's kind of like,
It was
you
fine.
could watch it,
It
but
was fine.
it's no Lying Eyes.
No. And I think we should redo that.
Yeah, I haven't. I haven't watched Lying Eyes in quite some time. I'm a little overdue.
So for those of you who don't know, Lying Eyes is the movie why this podcast exists. Because Jordan and I watched Lying Eyes and it changed our lives forever, really.
It's so good.
It was amazing. It was amazing. And then Jules, who we haven't mentioned at all,
I know.
We're terrible co-hosts. Everyone's probably like, "Where's Jules?"
I know.
Jules
I
is
thought
in
of that.
LA, soaking up the sun, living the Hollywood lifestyle. So don't worry about her; she's fine. But
Let's edit something into the intro where we say something.
Oh my god, we're such assholes. All right.
I've already thought of this. I'm like, we didn't even mention that Jules. That's on me because I introduced us. So
It's
that's
okay.
on me.
It's okay. Maybe I'll put something in before I
Yeah.
like before the music or whatever. Anyway, whatever.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, it wasn't. But Lying Eyes. But then like Jules watched Lying Eyes with us, and then was like, I need to be a part of this, and Time of My Lifetime was born. And so we recorded an episode, but the audio's all fucked up. So maybe one day we'll like release it as a bonus episode or something.
Yeah, we could do that. A B side.
Yeah,
or we could just.
I mean,
or we could just watch it.
Or we could do that. I mean, it's not like unlistenable. It's just the audio, like the record, like the inputs. Yeah, the input is up too high, so there's like some distortion, especially like when we start laughing and stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and we laugh a lot because that's a hilarious.
That movie's amazing.
That's a good goddamn movie.
It's so good. It's
so good. So I'll give. What was the name of this movie again?
Buried Secrets. Oh, did you learn any life lessons from Buried Secrets?
Don't try to be BFFs with your ghost friend. Go to college and get a job in the city.
For real, Tiffani-Amber Thiessen.
Right. That's my lesson. That's my lesson is find some purpose. Otherwise, you're gonna end up in Whitecliff, Maine, chasing ghosts.
I think mine is just like he's just not that into you. Like, I mean, if you have to work this hard, like, get yourself, like, possessed by ghosts and all this business to attract this man that ain't... I mean, sure, he owns his own business, but other than that, he's emotionally unavailable. He's not cute. Yeah. He's not cute.
He loves his dead 16-year-old girlfriend.
I mean, I'm just saying, honey, just get a new house and move on. Like, it is not worth it. It's not worth it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's about it. That's, what was it again?
Buried Secrets. There's a buried secret over in the yacht. Oh, that wasn't good.
You want to say Deadly Secret. That's Buried Secrets from 1996, Lifetime.
And Kelly Kapowski / Valerie, whatever her last name was.
Well, thanks for listening. Stay tuned. We'll do maybe we'll do Lying Eyes next.
Oh, maybe. Oh, and we should say all the things. Follow us on Twitter at Time Lifetime, and follow us on our Tumblr at it's just timeoflifetime.tumblr.com. Yeah, okay. And subscribe to this and like it. Please subscribe to this and like it. And I'm going to investigate iTunes.
We're at like 12 right now. 13 subscription would. What's that?
We're at 13.
Oh, we are. Oh, yeah. The 14th would make my fucking day.
Well, we need to investigate iTunes.
I know.
And like all that terms of service and whatnot is just like TL semicolon DR.
We'll figure it out. Yeah, thanks for listening. See you next time.
All right, until next time in my lifetime. Bye, Erff.
So if you want to be with him, start digging, my dear friend. You'll find his pieces all along the way. But don't you dig too deep for another I will keep when I toss you into his grave.
You look confused.
I mean, I've heard of such things, and I've seen it, like, you know, on The Amazing Race, like, let's go to Bangkok and, like, go to the cat cafe. But, like, why you would really want to hang out there for more than, like, 5 minutes?
If you're a big weirdo like me,
like, how long did you guys hang out there?
They sell. You have to make reservations. They're super busy.
What?
You have to make a reservation. We went on a Saturday. You make a reservation for a 75-minute block of time. So we got there at like 4. We were there from like 4 to 5:15. We hung out with a bunch of cats, and then we got Chinese food. It was a nice day.
Well, yeah, I guess that's not so bad. But, but like, these are like cats that like everyone is. Are they cuddly cats?
Some of them are really nice. They're all like, there's no kittens in there, and these are all like cats from the ASPCA. So every cat in there is up for adoption.
Adoptable? Oh, okay, that's nice.
Yeah. Apparently, I guess I need to look it up. Last I saw, they've only been open since the summer, and last I saw, they had adopted like 70 something cats, maybe. But there's like 20 of them in there at a time. So there's like, they're everywhere. But they're like, some of them, when we were there, like at least half of them were like just dead asleep. And so it was just like, all right, we'll leave them alone. And then a couple of them were just assholes. And it's just like, okay, fuck you. You don't want to be my friend. And then there was some like friendly cats that like, there were some playful ones. There were some that just wanted to like sit around and purr and like while you pet them. Like it was really nice. Like, 'cause things have been going so badly, and like she's still dealing with like her dad's death and everything, and so we were both just having a shitty week. So it was just like, why don't we go to the cat cafe? So it was a nice thing to do.
Okay, that's nice. I can see that being nice. I think I would prefer a puppy cafe though.
Yeah, well, you're more normal than I am because I'm a weirdo cat person. I feel like more people would enjoy, like, a puppy cafe, right?
Well, I think I'm becoming, like, a weirdo cat person because, like, I've always, like, you know, been dogs. And I've had cats, and I've loved the cats, but I prefer the dogs. But now that I am living with a partner who has pretty much put the kibosh on
dogs. Okay.
He just doesn't want. He doesn't want to deal. He doesn't want to deal with, you know, all the upkeep. You gotta take a dog out for a walk in like negative 20 degrees up there, right? And that is a lot. And
fuck that, man.
That is a lot.
You gotta put it in like a little dog parka and like get it ready to go outside so it can take a shit.
And, like, everyone's stressed out because you're trying to get the parka on before the shit happens.
Right.
Yeah. And so, like, I mean, I get it. And, like, now I'm sort of, like, coming around to his way of thinking. Because, like, it sucks, like, coming home and, like, not having, like, you know, like, for instance, like, tonight, like, Dennis has to work late. Like, normally, I would be, like, sitting in front of the TV with a cat on my lap.
Yeah. God, I want to get a cat. Get 2 cats. You should get 2 cats.
That's what I have been saying this whole time. Yeah. Because if we only get 1 cat, it's going to become Dennis's cat.
Yeah, get 2 cats. Is there like a shelter situation? Like, where do you get cats from there?
Yeah, there are a bunch of shelters around.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, what I always want to do, and maybe I can live vicariously through you now, because you have like a home where cats can live, like multiple cats. You should go to the shelter and find like 2 like best friend cats that like you would feel bad having separated. They're there, and get both of them. Well,
the one that Dennis is in love with, like he's in love with this cat. Like he like pulls out his iPad and just looks at it every night. He's like, that's the one I want. Hey, that one. Okay. He came with like 3 brothers.
Yeah.
So you have to adopt him with like one of his brothers. So.
Dude, if you don't do it, I'm gonna like move to Minnesota and do that myself.
Well, but I'm just like worried that like we're gonna go there because I'm like we need to meet these cats before we adopt them, obviously. Yeah. And I'm just worried that's gonna break his little heart like that cat's gonna be because he really is just like such a pretty boy, you know. And it's like I just have a feeling he might be an asshole. Just my gut.
Yeah. How old are they? Do you know how old they are?
They're kittens, but they're like older kittens. They're probably around a year, I would guess.
Okay.
Given
Go
their,
get both of them.
Given their size.
How come you haven't been over to the shelter? No time?
Well, A, because I was out of town all last weekend.
Yeah.
And B, I don't know if we're completely 100% ready yet. Like, emotionally.
Oh, because you're still mourning.
Yeah, it hasn't even been a month.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah, sure.
So it's like the idea of like having an animal like in the house, but like at the same time it's like, you know, his ashes are still in a little box, like,
yeah.
you know, sitting on a console table in the kitchen. So,
well, I think you should. You don't have to adopt any of them, but I think if there's that cat that he really likes, you should at least go and like.
We should go meet
and, like,
him. Yeah.
You should go. You don't have to commit to anything, but you should go.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And it would be fun. It would be fun to go see. Okay, now I'm coming around to the idea of a cat cafe, and I think it's actually I wish we had one.
See, it's awesome.
God damn it.